Welcome to the Pathways to Profitability podcast, personal tales of business success, where we hear local business owners' personal stories of their trials and tribulations that got them to where they are today. Here's your host, Cheryl Mucha, CEO of CFO Your Way.
Hello and good day, everyone. Welcome to Pathways to Profitability podcast. Our guest today is Martina Kuhlmeyer from Power Up Your Team. Martina, thank you so much for being here with us today.
Thank you, Cheryl. I'm excited to be on the show.
So I always like to give our audience a little bit of a background of who Martina is and a little bit about the business, and then we'll get into the good nitty-gritty stuff.
Sounds cool. Yes. So I am an entrepreneur. I lead my own coaching practice, and I started that after a 30-year career in working in large corporations in lean transformations and operational excellence, working with senior leaders and executives to create a better, more engaging work environment for their teams. And after I had done 4 or 5 of these type rodeos, joining different companies, leading different type transformations, I decided it's time for a change, and I ventured into entrepreneurship. And now I have my own coaching practice focused on helping CEO and founders build a more resilient team so that they can scale their business and win in the marketplace.
Beautiful. So you hit on my first point. So what was if there was like one thing or two things that were the real trigger
Mhm.
for leaving the corporate world and becoming an entrepreneur?
Yeah, it was my quest for doing something completely different. You know, we only have one life to live, and this perspective, it is really not that long, you know. And so after I had done a very similar thing for 30 years, and it was a joyful career, and I'm grateful for the experience that I had, I wanted to try something new. And that was really, then I asked myself the question, what is it that I want to do? And so being self-employed was very high on the list. And then the question was, do I want to become a consultant or a coach? And I really enjoyed working with senior leaders and executives one-on-one to help them develop and transform their leadership style and create impact to their teams and create environments that are motivating and inspiring. So that is what I enjoyed most in my career. I enjoyed building successful teams myself. I had many of them along the years. And so I pulled that passion forward into what I'm doing now.
So it wasn't necessarily something happened in that career. It was just really time and place, it sounds like.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right.
Great. So tell our audience a little bit about, pre-entrepreneurship. Did you have a mentor, or was there a significant person in your life that kind of guided you through your career path that led you to this leap of faith into entrepreneurship? Because that's what it is, right?
Yes, it's a leap of faith. I had, of course, many mentors and many different leaders who I worked for, and there were a couple of people who really were at pivotal points throughout my career. And what they often demonstrated, and what made all the difference for me, is that they believed in my capabilities. They didn't put me in a drawer. They didn't niche me in. They gave me a shot at something that I hadn't done before. And there were 2 pivots that I will never forget. One was a business leader who allowed me to move from marketing into quality management. And at the time, that was unheard of. How can you have a marketing person leading the quality department? And I had always this passion for building management systems and business systems where people, process, and technology are really working well together. So I really enjoyed this move into quality. And then years later, uh, there was another business president who gave me a chance to lead a P&L. I never done that before. I was also not a subject matter expert in that industry. He believed in me and my leadership capabilities and my knowledge in Lean Six Sigma. and trusted me that I could turn that business unit around. And so these are two key experiences that really leveled me up throughout my career and that I benefit from throughout my 30 years working in large corporations.
Yeah, I always say like there's, entrepreneurship, of course, like we said, is a leap of faith, but I always say like it's got to be at the right time and place. Like we
Yes.
need those experiences. You had to, work with those leaders who believed in you to learn and grow and just get exposure to things that you hadn't yet. And that's
Yes.
the basis, the foundation for what you're doing now for the business.
Oh, absolutely. So I'm so grateful that I had the chance to lead a P&L. So I know the woes and worries of looking at a P&L and wondering why the heck are my expenses so high? Where is it
You're
coming
talking my language now, Martina.
right? And then drilling deep, I said, how can that be, right? That the expenses are so high. I only have that number of people working for me. Where's the rest of the expense coming from, right? And then you learn about depreciation schedules, right? And all these beautiful things that add to
Taxes,
the
right?
party there, right? But it is the news is I experience the reality and the pressure of leading a business. And in this particular case, it was a business who was not doing that well at the onset. So I had a challenge stepping in and had the opportunity to turn it around. And I think this experience kind of helps me to work with my current clients, right? To show empathy, to put myself in their shoes, and then really help them to improve whatever it is they want to improve in terms of running their business.
Right. Yeah. But being in a situation like that, and we get into a lot of those situations where the business isn't at its optimal
Yeah.
performance, that's where you can make the greatest effect, but that's where the critical learning is because you're really digging
Yeah.
deep.
Yeah.
And I come across it all the time. Business owners don't have that depth of knowledge in any aspect of the business, not just the P&L, the financials, but any aspect, like what it really takes to
Yeah.
run a business.
Yes. It's so funny you say that, Cheryl, because my boss at the time always said, Martina, you are in your laboratory of your life. In this job, you are learning everything.
You're
And
right.
it's true because there was not much that was working well from the team didn't have an alignment on who the customer was. They were not in alignment on that. They were not in alignment on their strategy, right? The morale was low, the expenses too high, they didn't have the right equipment, you name it. So there was plenty of stuff to diagnose and then fix. And I love that stuff. I love to dig under the surface and
Right.
trying to find the root cause of why things don't work well, and then build a team around that to
Right.
fix and improve that.
And that's what I was just going to say. And it's around the team.
Yes.
It's the people that
Yes.
either make it good or bad.
Yes. Yeah. The team is the most important asset of any organization, large or small. I'm convinced about that. No great product, no great product technology will do
Right.
any good
Right.
if you don't have great people. Right. And the other conviction that I developed over the years is that the CEO or the business owner or the founder, whoever sits at the top,
Right.
he or she is the one who creates the culture, period.
Right.
Right. So it's all in their hands. And so that are the two things that I'm very passionate about and that I really, these two core beliefs I rolled forward into what I'm doing now.
Right. Yeah. And, I know for myself too, and so many other business owners, you go into business because you're good at what you're good at. I always say, you're good at building your widget, right?
Yes.
There's all these other things that come
Yes.
into play and all these other people, whether it's a customer, a vendor, or part of the team that all have to be integrated
Yeah.
and have the same values.
Yes. That is so true. I mean, often people have an idea, they have a product idea or service idea. And with that conviction, they start their business. And then there are suddenly all these other hats that they need to wear. And one of them is really focusing on building the team. And that is not everybody's forte. Why should it, right? But it's something that I truly believe people can learn. Leadership skills can be learned like any other thing in the world.
Right. And with guidance from you,
Yeah.
it's that journey is that much smoother and that much
Yeah.
more productive.
Yeah. And it's the same with the guidance you give your clients, helping them really read and understand their numbers
Right.
and understand the stories beneath them.
Right.
Right?
It's
That's
critical.
that's critical, but why would business owners know that, right? By chance, they know it if they have an accounting background. But if they're an engineer, right, or a scientist,
Or
that's
just a
not,
creative.
yeah, a creative, right? That's why people like you and I are around, right? We can help fill the gap and help them move the business to the next level of success.
Right. So I'm glad you used the word success because I wanted to kind of discuss with you like how do you define business success? Not only for yourself and your business, but for your clients and what you're accomplishing with them.
Yeah, it depends on the client a little bit. Usually, I show up when they want to scale their business, and then it is the success factors can be growth, but it can also be a harmonized team, a team that's working well. It can be getting services faster, quicker, easier out the door. It can be for the owner, less time burning the midnight oil, having time to focus on strategy. So my work as a coach, there are business results in the traditional sense, but I measure results also in the difference I make in the life of my client.
Right.
And that is an emotional thing, right? Where they say, oh, I finally have the confidence in my team, or now I feel comfortable trusting my team, or I have more time to spend with my family, or I can clearly see not only where I want to be in 1 to 5 years, but also I have a good idea of how I'm going to get there.
Right. Right. And having the ability to have the confidence and the faith in your team to be able to take a vacation. Because how many business owners say, "Oh, I haven't taken a vacation in 5 years or whatnot." To be able,
Yeah,
like, we
exactly.
all need that. We all need to step
Yeah,
away, to tune out, to shut off.
yeah,
Um, but to get to that point where you're totally comfortable doing that.
yes. And that's some work, right? It starts with having it could be an issue of just being comfortable letting go. It's having the right people in the right place, having some level of governance, because sooner or later, a business leader has to also delegate decision making, not just work, right?
Right.
If growth continues, sooner or later, somebody has to delegate decisions. So that who makes the decisions, right? What's the governance around that? And then at the core, I'm an engineer, so I always believe that process is very important. Some people may think process is bureaucracy, but I don't think it is. This enables collaboration and it enables continuous improvement of the work. And processes always provide a transparency into the work. And that is critically important for a business owner to be able to step back and guide their business without being directly involved in every
Right.
detail.
Right. And, it's not only, excuse me, it's not only work life balance for the owner or the founder, it's work life balance for the team too.
Oh, without a doubt. See, that goes into authentic leadership, right?
Right.
What's the value, right? If the value of a business owners, and that's where coaching comes in. These values can
Right.
only come from within. I can't tell anyone else what their values are, right? So we got to feel that out. But for instance, if work-life balance is a value for them, they need to
Right.
honor that and model that for their
For the
team and
team.
apply
Yeah.
the same value to a team to come across as authentic and credible.
Right. And the other thing too, to tie that into what you were just saying about the processes and whatnot, if you have strong processes and your team is aligned, there should be no hiccups in the business when a team member is away on vacation for 2 weeks.
That's exactly right. And again, there are things that an owner can do, right? We know that working in teams has higher productivity, or working in pairs has higher productivity anyhow, right? So teaming people up, not having individuals who have the only keys to the castle, right? That leads to problems down the road. But it's how they thoughtfully design their management system or the business system, and that's critical.
I couldn't agree more. Again, comes back to the numbers. You attain that level of efficiency and collaboration, it affects your P&L.
That's right. And when it comes to numbers, right, it's not just the results or
Right.
the outcome numbers at the end of the month or quarter. It's the process metrics that are so
Right.
important. These process metrics along the creation of value for the client, um, they are critical to give a business
Mhm.
owner peace of mind so that they have the insight and can quickly say where work is at. And frankly, the people themselves can do that too,
Right.
right? And so that's something that as a business is growing and more hands are on deck, that's something important to consider, to put more structure into the work. And that doesn't mean that we take the velocity out of the work, but
Mhm.
it's measurement points along the way that signal if everything is on track or off
They're
track.
off track. And if they're off track, react quickly.
Yes. Yes. Again, that's another leadership thing where you say, look, if the traffic light is red, what is your team doing? Are they empowered to change the work, improve the work, experiment, figure things out? Or are they suddenly all waiting for the boss to tell them what to do? That's a
Right.
cultural thing. And that's, again, the leadership that plays into that. So it plays, in my mind, it plays all together, right?
Right.
So the vision, the strategy, the values, the leadership, the people structures, and the processes,
Right.
all
Yeah.
one system.
Well, everyone on the team should have the ability to turn that light from red to green.
Yes. Yes. Yes, and always a flag, right? That's the other thing I've experienced in my 30 years culture where people were afraid to say
Right.
something, right? And so another cultural
Cultural thing.
indicator. It's a cultural thing, right? So people need to be comfortable with say, hey, we got to stop the train for a moment. Something is going off rail.
Exactly. And put our heads together and figure out not only what to do, but the why behind
Yes.
it going off rail.
Yeah, that's exactly right. That's why I think it's so important for everyone on the team to understand the context, right?
Right.
Not just understand their sliver of work,
Mhm.
but understand the whole, we used to call it value chain, right? The value creation process, so that they actually have the context and can make a
Right.
better assessment of their own work and the work around them.
Right. Yeah, instead of making decisions in a silo,
Yeah.
make them across the entire organization.
Yes.
Couldn't agree more because it's all integrated. And
Yes.
I always in my mind I have this vision of a wheel, and we're the
Yeah.
cogs in the wheel.
Yes. It's an ecosystem. It's a
Yep.
system,
Yep.
right? That needs to work together.
Perfect. So you have a podcast as well, which I was
Yes.
a guest on, and it was so
Yes, it was very
fun.
exciting.
So tell our audience a little bit about your podcast.
Yeah, my podcast is called Power Up Your Team. And currently, I alternate between solo episodes and interviews with business owners. And so the idea is to give my audience tips and tricks to build a more resilient team. And it's everything from how to give feedback, how to build the ecosystem, how to I don't even remember that I have had so many episodes, but what a resilient team is all about, why to celebrate setbacks. So everything that pops into my mind that might be useful to a leader as they improve their leadership style is in that podcast. So the solo episodes are like just 5 minutes, so they're little snippets. And then the interviews are typically around 20 minutes.
Yeah, and it was so much fun. Thank you for having
Yes.
me as a
Thank
as a
you.
guest. And we saw on screen where we can find those podcasts. If you could share with us too other ways that our audience can find you and get in touch with you.
Yeah, the website is www.powerupyourteam.com. And you can find me on LinkedIn under Martina Kuhlmeyer. There's only one person with that name, to the best of my knowledge. And then on the website, there's an email address. It's martina@powerup.yourteam.com. That's how you can get in touch via email.
Perfect. Martina, thank you so much for being here with us today and sharing with our audience. There's so much good information in there, and I hope our audience absorbs that and then comes to you with more questions and
Yeah.
looking for guidance, because it's critical out there, today and every day. Like, there's always something going on in our world, our business world, our personal world, that we need professional guidance.
Yes. Yes. Thank you. Yeah. I look forward to get in touch with more and more people. It's all about having conversations.
Yep.
And I really appreciate the opportunity to be on your show, Sharon. Thank you
Oh,
so much.
Thank you so much, Martina. And to our audience, thank you so much for listening in. I hope you found great value in this episode of Pathways to Profitability. Check out our other episodes. The website is here on the screen. Lots of great information about different entrepreneurs, their journey, their trials, their tribulations, and how they just move forward on this journey, on this path to business success.
That's it for today's episode of Pathways to Profitability. Remember to ask yourself, where can I pay my success forward today?